unite, together we shine, bring the light. Through stormy weather, through the pain, with open hearts, we'll break the chains. It's you and me, we'll stand so tall, in the rainbow's embrace, we'll never fall. Hand in hand, we'll share the dream, a tapestry of love, woven at the seams. With every hue of voice is strong, together is one, where we all belong. It's you and me, we'll rise above, in the rainbow's embrace, we spread our love. In every corner of the earth we sing, a symphony of hope that unity brings. With every color, let our love soar, together as one, forevermore.
Good evening and welcome to the Universal Rainbow Faith Church. My name is Paula Sadler and I am the founding president and minister here at Universal Rainbow Faith Church here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we're coming to you live from our location at the historic Commercial Center District. So welcome. And I welcome everyone that's online and tuning in and that will watch this later. We are on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and tonight for the very first time we are on TikTok Live as well. We've never done that before. We had a little technical difficulty trying to get that going, but our first one, and here we are. So welcome. Our theme of the month is Sacred Celebration and the Power of Joy in Resistance. And this week we're highlighting pride and faith and embracing both of these together. This week's message honors trans pioneer Lucy Hicks Anderson and examines the sacred tension of being both queer and spiritual. And we did a very special service last week for that. And so you can see all of that online. You could look at our 12 patron saints and more sacred and divine guardians as well online. Our spiritual message this week is The Cost of Truth, a reflection on authenticity, rejection, and sacred resilience. So we have a great service lined up for you today. We are grateful that you are here, and as we dive deep into sacred celebration and what it means to have power in the joy of in resistance. And as we explore pride and faith and embracing both of these, that is what we're going to be talking about today. I hope you enjoyed our opening song, that is Embrace Togetherness. It is our original worship song, and that is on our YouTube playlist, on our Sacred Music playlist. So check those out, along with everything else we have there. And our opening quote today from The Nature of Miracles, my book on prayers, affirmations, divine guidance, and channel writing. And our opening words are, I support, love, and encourage the greatest expression of your most authentic self that the world needs you to be, and to share all of your special and unique gifts. That is The Nature of Miracles, page XIII. And so to be both queer and spiritual is truly a revolutionary act. And to show up in your truth, know that that is sacred. It's very sacred work. And this week in particular, here in Pride Month, and welcome to everybody as we celebrate Pride this month in June, with so many festivities happening throughout the entire country and in Washington, D.C. This week, we reclaim our place in faith, not as tolerated guests in the world, but as being holy torchbearers. Know that that is you, that you are a holy torchbearer of the truth. Our mission statement at URF: Universal Rainbow Faith is a sacred spiritual home where LGBTQIA+ people and allies are fully affirmed, celebrated, and protected. We believe that gender and love and identity are divine expressions of the Creator. Our mission is to uplift, heal, and empower individuals through spiritual truth, radical inclusion, and sacred community. We embrace the divine in all forms and honor the sacred light within each soul. Our faith rises in love, justice, and the transformative power of being fully seen and fully loved. And let's just take a moment to do a little breath work as we breathe in. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And let's breathe in pride and breathe out shame. And now we're going to breathe in sacredness, and we're going to breathe out fear. And next we have our announcements. We have some new blog posts that are on universalrainbowfaith.org. On the bottom of the homepage, just scroll down. And one is a must-have spiritual companion for seekers of all paths. And this is to explore the transformative power of my book, The Nature of Miracles. This is a daily guide for healing, reflection, and spiritual growth. And we have in here over 400 pages in a one-a-day style for daily spiritual guidance, healing through journaling. Just an amazing book to have. It has been adopted by the Universal Rainbow Faith as our text. So I invite you to check that out on our site, the new blog post, to learn a little bit more about that book and what we're doing. And then we also have a few other new blog posts, and let me go ahead and bring those up on our site. And you can go to universalrainbowfaith.org to learn more, to see all of our blog posts. And what we have available this week is a call to the nation, a call to the world, introduction to the prayer for transgender military personnel in honor of our military personnel who have had to elect to have to leave the military on their own or be forced out. And so we also have Saint Arion, the divine transgender warrior of justice and a newly canonized guardian of the Universal Rainbow Faith Church. And then we have how to use these affirmations for transgender justice, a series of 30 affirmations to empower and uplift not only our military, transgender military family, but for all. So take a look at those online. Those are great blog posts and informative. We have an official update. We did announce this, but we are a federally recognized 501c3 nonprofit and church. And we're so excited about that, to be fully recognized, and all of your contributions are tax deductible. We are setting up a new way to give with Tithely. That will be online soon, but there is a donation tab on our site. There are a few different tabs. Some of them are being changed out. So just know, if you come up with an arrow page, just make all your donations through the home page. This week we have a new release of our new worship music, and it's called I Will Not Hide. And that can be seen on our sacred music playlist. We're very excited about that. You can look at and hear all of our music on our YouTube channel. And mark your calendars. Follow us on YouTube so that you can get weekly updates when we post for our newest and latest lesson each week and service that we do on YouTube. So subscribe. And we are asking for your support and help to help grow our message and just help us make us go viral all over on the social pages. You can use Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of these places in which we are at. We thank you so much for liking, following, sharing, and subscribing. And you can get involved. You can sign up for your free account at universalrainbowfaith.org. And with that, you can also order your membership certificate. You can also go through a special gender name and affirmation ceremony as well. And you'll get a certificate for that. We do offer letters also for any of those who need them for work and for school, that your gender identity and your pronoun as a member of Universal Rainbow Faith Church is a sacred and holy right, and it is protected in our church. And we do have letters of religious exemption for children, for students, for international, and for the workplace as well. We are updating the site. We have about 6 different letters that will be available, and those are on universalrainbowfaith.org. And so those are all of our announcements for today. So thank you for that. And before we move on, we do have something special for today, and that is our new Saint Arion, the Divine Transgender Warrior of Justice. And this is from our blog post. And then we have a special ceremony for this intuited guardian that came to me this week. And I just felt, with all that was going on with the military, it is with such sadness and such a disgrace that we have beautiful and wonderful transgender men and women and non-binary individuals that are serving in this country, truly putting their life at risk to go and to protect us and our rights. And now they've been told that they're not worthy to serve somehow. And so we do have some blog posts that are online about the myth of the unfitness of transgender people and also a transgender military personnel. And so I invite you to read that. And after all that's been going on these past weeks and these past few months, this just came to me this week. So let me tell you a little bit about the backstory and the sacred calling of this intuited new guardian for us. And there's a beautiful image online on the blog post. Saint Arion, whose name means golden light of truth, is the celestial embodiment of the eternal transgender spirit. Neither bound by male nor female alone, Arion radiates a divine androgyny, encompassing the full spectrum of human identity and spiritual power. Forged in the fires of divine injustice, Arion first appeared in a vision during this spiritual crisis in the 21st century, when transgender people were banned from military service and demonized in public life. With sword raised and shield glowing, they stood as a radiant protector before a field of fallen trans warriors, vowing to never again let such oppression reign unchecked. Arion's armor bears the star of universal warriorhood, and they wear the emblems of every branch of the U.S. military across their body, representing their full spiritual jurisdiction across all armed services and nations. Their wings, vast and luminous, span across borders, eras, and injustices. Their divine mission. Saint Arion is charged with restoring transgender people to full honor, visibility, and protection within all branches of military service, protecting all transgender warriors, past, present, and future, destroying the strongholds of hatred, religious nationalism, and institutional erasure. offering strength, comfort, and divine purpose to any transgender person facing rejection, danger, and despair. Serving as a spiritual commander of the angels of justice and the ancestors of resistance. They are tireless, they are fearless, and they are eternal. And the creed of Saint Arian. We believe in Saint Arian, born not of flesh, but of divine flame and truth. They stand for justice when justice fails. They rise when trans voices are silenced. They fight with courage imbued by heaven itself. No band shall hold them. No oppressor shall escape their gaze. No trans soul shall be forgotten while they reign. They march in every protest. They fly beside every soldier. They speak through every advocate in truth. Saint Arian is our holy protector, our spiritual general, our transgender champion, eternal. And a special prayer we have to this new saint. O Saint Arian, divine warrior of the transgender soul, sword bearer of justice, shield of light, we call upon you now. Descend in glory and strength and stand beside every transgender person fighting for dignity. Wrap your wings around our queer warriors and drive out the darkness of hate, violence, and fear. Let your sword sever every unjust law. Let your presence terrify those who persecute. And let your truth restore balance where injustice rules. We invoke your name in sacred fire. We light your flame in every heart. And we trust you to protect our people. In the barracks and the battlefield, in the courts and in the streets, in every place where we rise to be seen. So it be, amen, ashe, aho, and so it is. And there's a special ritual and invocation that you can do at home to work with this new saint. You can light a gold or a white candle, and also you can speak the prayer to Saint Arian aloud. You can place military emblems and rainbow flags or affirming tokens around the candle, and envision gold wings surrounding all transgender people in need of protection. And let's do that right now. We've already lit our candles. We've done this beautiful prayer. Let's just take a moment and let's just close our eyes and relax. And right now, I want you to envision these beautiful, golden, powerful wings of Saint Arian, surrounding now all transgender people in the world, all non-binary people, and let's include our entire LGBTQ community. And that Saint Arian is providing amazing divine protection against all harm. And we'll close by declaring, by the power of Saint Arian, we are restored, we are protected, we are sacred. And our affirmation, I call upon Saint Arian, I am not alone, I am not scared, and I am protected, and I am sacred. So, and although Saint Arian is somewhat of an imaginative figure that has intuitively came to me this week, how do we know that Arian hasn't been there all along? And that as we access our intuitive self, that I was having a conversation earlier with my brother, and I told him, I said, you know, it's kind of, Saint Arian is kind of like when scientists are disclosing and telling us all of these new fascinating life forms that they find in the ocean, and animals and new fish and new insects and new plant varieties, that as a species, we have not discovered all of the life forms on our planet yet. And so I believe it's the same way with spiritual matters. We have not revealed, and we do not know everything there is to know about what's happening in the spiritual realm. There's a lot that we do know, but there may be new beings and new guardians and new angels and new spiritual text that is coming to us, that is something new that we can discover through our intuition. And so that's how it is with St. Ariane. Maybe St. Ariane's been there all along, and all of a sudden is now revealing themselves to more and more people, or to all of us in this way. Who are we to say that Ariane wasn't there all along? So we do have our official canonization and sacred proclamation. By the spiritual authority vested in me as the founding minister of Universal Rainbow Faith, I, Reverend Paula Josephine Sadler, do hereby proclaim and canonize Saint Ariane on this day of June 8th, 2025. Divine transgender warrior of justice, heavenly guardian of restoration, sacred service, and spiritual protection, let it be known throughout all realms, seen and unseen, that Saint Ariane has been formally initiated into the sacred lineage of divine guardians and saints of the Universal Rainbow Faith Church. Ariane is neither man nor woman, but the full embodiment of a divine androgyny and sacred purpose. They carry the sword of justice, the shield of truth, and the flame of restoration. Their wings span across time and nation, their presence felt in every heart that has been exiled for daring to be true. From this day forward, Saint Ariane shall be invoked as the protector of all transgender people in service, in battle, in identity, and in purpose. Saint Ariane is charged with restoring all transgender military personnel, past, present, and future, defending against spiritual violence and systemic erasure, healing the souls of those who suffer in silence, dismantling hatred through divine light and unwavering courage. So let these candles that we have lit be in their name. Let prayers be lifted to the heavens. Let no injustice go unanswered in their presence. They are a warrior, a guardian, a guide, and an eternal light. This proclamation is sealed with the fire of truth, the breath of spirit, and the full authority of our sacred faith. Saint Ariane, we honor you, we invoke you, we rise with you. So it is. Amen, Ashe, Aho, and may it be done. So thank you. Thank you for helping me bring Saint Ariane into the full power and placement as one of our newest divine guardians and patron saints. And so now we move into our weekly message. And we have been honoring Lucy Hicks Anderson this entire month as a trans pioneer of sacred truth. And quote, I defy any doctor in the world to prove that I am not a woman. I have lived, dressed, and acted just what I am, a woman. It's Lucy Hicks Anderson, 1945. And our message today is the cost of truth. And our quote from The Nature of Miracles, once again, I support, love, and encourage the greatest expression of your most authentic self that the world needs you to be, and to share all of your special, unique gifts. The Nature of Miracles. And this particular message comes from one of our newest blog posts about the value of transgender people and non-binary people, not only in the military, but in our country and in the entire world. Our value, our value in every single way. So, beloved community, today we gather in spirit of sacred courage in a world that often demands that we edit who we are. Today, we reclaim something holy, our right to be real. The theme this month is sacred celebration, but not the kind of celebration that glosses over pain. This is the joy that rises up out of resistance. This is the truth that refuses to shrink. Lucy Hicks Anderson, a sacred truth teller. In 1945, Lucy, a Black trans woman, stood in court and boldly declared, "I defy any doctor in the world to prove that I am not a woman. I've lived, dressed, and acted just what I am, a woman." And so for that truth, she paid a very heavy price. She was arrested. She received public shaming. She had loss of her income and dignity, but she never betrayed herself. She lived in truth, and that in itself was sacred. And I call for you to live in your truth today, for us to live in our truth. So know that denial of self, that is not divine. So many of us in here today and online, you know what it's like to be conditionally accepted and loved. And until they found out about who we are, we were welcomed until we spoke our truth. The moment we stop hiding is the moment the invitations disappear. And so also in this previous week's blog entitled "The Moment They Found Out," we confront the grief of that rejection, and yet it is in that very pain that we discover something divine, that truth will cost you, but it will also set you free. And isn't it funny? I was having a conversation. Isn't it funny how we're accepted up to a point, and then when someone finds out that you're LGBTQ or you're trans, all of a sudden you become less than in that very moment. And I was sharing with friends about Sarah McBride, the first openly transgender congresswoman, and how sickening it was to see how she was misgendered by another member of Congress in a hearing, and they referred to her as Mr. McBride. And one of her associates became very upset and told them to address her as like they should, as a duly represented official of the United States government. And he replied, "Well, this is our new policy." But here's something interesting. She didn't have to choose to be out and to share about who she was, just like many of us. Many thousands of us living across the world, in the country, everywhere, that many people do not know that we happen to be transgendered, whether you're man or woman. And also with our non-binary family, people just wouldn't know. They just assume. They look at you and they just assume you're one way or the other. And in a moment, you're laughing, you're having fun, you're friends, you're welcomed at work, and then you decide to share your truth or speak about that, and then all of a sudden you become less than in that very moment. And so this is something that we must work to overcome, because it's based on fear and misinformation. And so a quote from The Nature of Miracles: "I support, love, and encourage the greatest expression of your most authentic self that the world needs you to be, and to share all of your special, unique gifts." And that's where we're at, that we must support, love, and encourage the greatest expression of all in our community, and also the most authentic selves that we are here to be. Because the world needs this. The world needs you to be that. And we have special gifts to share, and that is what we're here to do. So faith and pride are not opposites. Some would have us believe that pride and faith are incompatible, and that God demands smallness, silence, or submission. But our pride is not arrogance. It is gratitude for having survived. It is reverence for the God self created right here and right now. And it is worship through truth, as we are doing today here, speaking truth, universal truths grounded in love and compassion that cannot be denied They cannot be changed. It is not bias. It is not opinion. It is not a theory. That our truth is a matter of generations of lived experiences. So to be both queer and spiritual is not a contradiction, and it never will be. It is a calling to live out loud, in love, with no apology. And that's not rebellion, my friends. That's resurrection. And so, our affirmation, I say to you now, as both minister and a fellow traveler on the road, you were never meant to fit inside someone else's definition of sacred. You are already holy as you are. From the Nature of Miracles, page 91. You are not too much. Remember, you are a miracle in motion. So I invite you, and I invite all of us, to live in our truth, even when it costs, as it is now and as we are seeing, because it is in that truth, beloveds, that your soul will rise. With St. Arion on your side, with all of our ancestors, with all of our family and allies, our souls will rise, and will rise in truth. And so I want you to take that in at this moment and really feel that. I want you to feel your truth. And I want you to know that we are rising, even though it may not seem that way. And there is so much that is coming against our community right now that we must hold strong in our practice of prayer and meditation and affirmation and all of that spiritual power and practice that we're doing, that it is making a difference even when we can't see it. And so let's take that into meditation today. Just take a moment to relax where you're at. Take a deep breath in. Know that when you live in your truth, the world may tremble, but your soul will rise. So close your eyes and take a deep breath. Breathe in the sacredness of who you are. And now breathe out the fear that you will not be accepted. And breathe in light, courage, and joy. And breathe out the weight of any past rejection. And now imagine yourself walking along a path of glowing rainbow stones. Each step radiates a warm light beneath your feet. You are being led to a sacred garden. This is no ordinary garden. It is a sanctuary of truth. Here, your soul is not only welcome, it is honored. You walk past a mirror made of starlight, and you pause. You look, taking in your reflection, all of you, and you see the truest version of yourself. You do not shrink, you do not hide, you rise. All around you, the garden begins to bloom in response. Flowers of fire, rivers of pride, wind that hums your name. The world may tremble at your truth, but here, your soul stands strong. And so let this place remind you, you do not need permission to be real. You were born sacred. Your truth is holy. Your pride is a prayer. As you look into this mirror and gaze at your most truest reflection of yourself, your most authentic, divine and holy and sacred self, you declare and repeat, my truth is sacred. I walk in authenticity. I rise in divine light. And so it is. And now you feel yourself coming back to this space and time, being aware of the place where you are. You can open your eyes if you like as we return. And as we just take that in, we take that garden of truth in, know that you can return there any time that you like, that is your special and sacred place to be. And let us contemplate that sacred truth allows us to not have to hide in this world as we listen to this week's special music selection and original song, I Will Not Hide.
They told me silence was the way, that hiding truth would keep me safe. But silence is a shadow cage that I was born to break away. They said my faith and pride can't meet, but love runs deeper than deceit. I hear a voice that won't let go. It whispers you are sacred, so I will not hide, I will not fall. My truth is holy, my name is called. I rise in light, I walk in grace. This sacred fire I will embrace. I am the love that fear denied, and still arise, I will not hide.
And just know that I will not hide, I will not fall. My truth is holy, my name is called. I rise in light, I walk in grace. The sacred fire I will embrace. I am the love that fear denied, and still I rise, I will not hide. And you can listen to that full song on our YouTube under Sacred Services, Sacred Playlist of Music. And now we have our children's message and blessing. Our message to all of our children is to know your truth is never too big for God. And our affirmation, repeat after me, I can be proud and I can be spiritual. I can be proud and I can be spiritual. And our blessing to all of our children watching, just know that you are loved as you are by a creator who made you bright and bold. We have our time for tithing and offering. Just know that this ministry exists so no one has to choose between truth and belonging, and that your gifts create sanctuary and keep these digital services, these virtual services going also as we look forward to creating our new space and our new building that we envision. And this project is on universalrainbowfaith.org under our Building Expansion Fund. We're so looking to meet with you in person and to make that dream become a reality. And so our tithing and abundance affirmation, I give to truth, I sow into healing, I invest in love. And you can make your donations at universalrainbowfaith.org under donate on the homepage. New Tithely options coming soon. You can also send a check or cashier's check or money order to our office location at 953 East Sahara Avenue, Suite E, 11A. Las Vegas, Nevada 89104. That information is on our website. And so I just want to thank you for being a part of the Universal Rainbow Faith today. Today was our first time on TikTok. I did see some messages scrolling at the top of the screen, some red boxes. I'm not sure what those are, as I'm going to be learning more about our live streaming and how that will be on there. But stick around after the service. We do have our minister meet and greet. And I'll see if I'm able to see any of your messages and answer any questions that you may have. If there's the text feature that you can send a message to. And then we do look at growing our online virtual services as well, when we're able to start having a slideshow to go with and support our service, and also more direct communication. But in the meantime, feel free to reach out and direct message or message on any of our social platforms. You can do it through the website. You can send us an email. We have so many ways for you to contact us. I'll do my best to get back with each and every one of you. And I thank you for tuning in today. And I truly believe in the work that we're doing here, that it is so important. And so let's help get the word out about Universal Rainbow Faith, about our website and all of our social pages. And I am dedicated and committed to being here to uplift this community in our time of need. And from what I see, it is what's happening now is the worst that I have seen in my lifetime. More than in the 80s, when there were so many gay bashings going on. We seem to have been making some positive headway for the past 10 or 15 years, except for a few years where things were reversed in 2017. And now we're back there again, and it's just getting worse. So we must continue to have faith and hope and work together in our communities to overcome all of our oppression. And so once again, I thank you for tuning in, and may the truth that lives in you shine brighter than fear, and may your pride be a prayer and your truth be worship. So go in peace and in power, and thank you for joining us today. And as we close with our final song, Embracing Togetherness, and I do have to apologize, our main speaker seems to have gone out, but I'm sure you can hear this anyway. And we'll get it, we'll make sure our Bluetooth is charged next week.
Every color we unite, together we shine, bring the light through stormy weather, through the pain. With open hearts, we'll break the chains. It's you and me, we'll stand so tall in the rainbow's embrace. We'll never fall. Hand in hand, we'll share the dream, a tapestry of love, open up the seams. With every hue of voice is strong, together as one, where we all belong. It's you and me, we'll rise above, in the rainbow's embrace, we'll spread our love. In every corner, the earth we sing, a symphony of hope that unity brings. With every color, let our love soar, together as one, forevermore.
So thank you for joining us, and that is our original Embracing Togetherness. And I do miss our Bluetooth speaker. That was a much bigger sound, but that's okay. You got my voice too with that. So stick around. We do have our minister meet and greet. We're going to be online for a few minutes, and we look forward to sharing with you a little bit more. Okay, well, this is our first time on TikTok, and I can barely see the any messages there, but let me take a look here. Oh well, there's some interesting messages. Someone said, "Repent, sister. The true Jesus Christ loves you and desires a relationship and wants to save you." Very nice. Just got the #1 gifter badge. Thank you very much. Okay, well, do we? What do we know about the true Jesus Christ? Well, I will tell you something a little bit about that. So, being transgender, being LGBTQ, does not separate us from any of the world faiths or religions, and it certainly doesn't separate us from Jesus Christ or from Buddha, from Muhammad, from Abraham, from any of that. And many years ago, after 9/11, I was inspired in a dream. I had a vision to write a book, and that book is called The Nature of Miracles. And in this book, there are meditations, affirmations, and channeled writing. And guess who? One of the wonderful guides that came to me was, because of my Christian background. Actually, I grew up evangelical Christian, born again Christianity. I began to embrace more mystical Christianity and mysticism, along with a wider worldview of religion and spirituality at about 14 years old. But I've never left my roots completely. So I find such beauty in so many of our world religions and faiths and mystical beliefs. And so actually one of the some of the guidance that came to me was in fact channeled writing from, you could say, God or Jesus. Now, some people that are Christians, like maybe this one online who talks about the true Jesus Christ, if I pray and I meditate and I ask for direction and guidance from whomever, whether it's from Buddha or Jesus or God, whatever you want to call that, who is anyone else to judge the quality of that divine guidance coming directly to me and to my life or to those in our community? There are many who believe that somehow being transgendered or being gay or lesbian or LGBT is somehow keeping us from a relationship with God and from the divine. That is so far from the truth, and that is not true Christianity. It is not based in any kind of biblical truth. And if you really read the Bible and you look, and to see the teachings of Jesus in particular, who did Jesus go to and to help, and what was the message there? So I invite you to really look at that. And since that came up in today, one of the ways in which you can use my book is you can go to the back of the book, and there is a wonderful index in the back of the book on many, many different topics. And let's just see what some of this information that came. It is an A to Z. So let's see what we have here. And if I go to J, let's see what we have for J. H-I-J. I know that I do have all kinds of wonderful lessons in here, and let's see if I can find one. So if we look also under maybe channeled writing, let's see what comes there. Oh well, okay. How about I'm going to go to page 299. Let's see what that is. Huh, okay. Well, okay, let me see. So all of the channeled writing is actually in italics. And here's how some of the guidance appears in my book. This particular one is from April 2002, and it is about, the title is Purging Enemy Consciousness of Others and Self Through the Use of Energetics. And in the special message from Spirit, the prayer was, Dear God and angels, what is it that we need to know about ourselves today in order to grow? Dear children, know that you are children, and in this childlike state of grace, all answers manifest in your life now. You are being divinely guided to undertake a project of global healing through creative acts. Right now, changes in the cosmos of deep outer space are taking place as you heal yourselves and you love and come to accept and realize your divine potential. A place of peace is being made. There are shifts now in the outer space that at this time you cannot see and you are not completely aware of, nor have the technology to see the distance. But there is another planet similar to yours in another dimension of space and time. This is a place created by your thoughts. We, the angels, the providers of heavenly and divine truth and protection and love, now share with you this new reality. We ask that you meditate on the planet and place in which you wish to continue in the life hereafter. For this realization and vision becomes your reality. The power of your mind is enough to shape from the invisible atmosphere new worlds. In fiction and myth, many places existed and were born from the imagination of great thinkers. The creative energy of every great mind that has ever lived is woven intricately into the fabric of space and time, and into the collective consciousness and awareness of the planet and the universe. Each person has the divine potential to create or destroy. We charge you with the knowledge of everlasting life so that you may create the world that you desire to live in for eternity. Each being lives in their own unique reality, but all together in the same universe. Many light years away, there are other beings living in a parallel universe and doing exactly what you are doing, like a twin. Concentrate on this other world through meditation and connect to this other world in which your every thought shapes and changes. We bless you and share with you the knowledge from the highest universal source as you seek it. Go forth now into this day knowing that the universe has responded to your prayer and that you have made positive changes through your loving acts of divine creation. Faruto Vishnu, Werhu Lahinjo, Spirit says, there is peace now in the universe because you follow the light of divine love to the heavens above. O Israel, hope in the Lord from this time forth and forevermore, from Psalms 133. So that is a little bit of how the book works. You can open it up to any page and get guidance. And in my book, there's also channeled messages in there from angels. I have my own relationship with what I call my higher power or God. But also, I'm not opposed to Christianity and Jesus as well, because that's my background. So, of course, some of my guidance has come from there. And who is anyone else to tell me or to tell you online in our community that your guidance and that your prayers are somehow less effective, or that you're not really getting the right or divine guidance, as this one person online has said. And Repent. It's from Samuel. He said, "Repent, sister. The true Christ loves you." Well, yes, I know that Jesus loves me, and I wrote extensively about that. My friend Terry. She's often said that God did not stop talking to people when the Bible was published, when it was finished. So this creator of the universe that's out there is trying to make contact with us. It's only if we'll listen. And so it's very sad that there are so many people who don't believe that if you are LGBTQ or transgender, that you have any kind of divine connection, that you're some kind of, godless heathen. And the farthest couldn't be from the truth. We are beautiful. We are spiritual. Many in our community are highly intuitive and are literally a mystic, modern day mystics and seers. My own particular intuitive abilities have been documented, and I've helped many, many people through Reiki, energy healing, and my prayers and my blessings and my affirmations and what I've created intuitively. I'm so excited to share these stories in the Nature of Miracles Volume 2 that's going to be coming out soon. And to those like this person online who talks about, Jesus or Christianity somehow, and then somehow someone like myself is somehow disconnected from that. The furthest couldn't be the truth. And I'll share with you, years ago in my early 20s when I was really working on my relationship with a higher power. It was very Jesus oriented and very angelic oriented. And but there were many pathways in which I studied. And I would often have dreams of literally flying around the world, and not flying in a plane, but like flying, like kind of like imagine a spirit flying through the air, or Superman runs and jumps and starts flying through the air with angels. One time I remember the dream I had. I was in a church, and in this church there was a woman in a wheelchair, and I went to go to touch her, and she had become healed and began to walk. But then at that moment, the bottom of a portion of the church fell out into a deep, deep cavern. And it was literally like to hell, if you will, even though I don't believe a place like that exists quite literally like that. But in the dream, demons or evil spirits, whatever you want to call them, were going to be coming out. Well, Jesus was there, angels were there, and we had to fight against these forces. So, whether that came from a movie, and I'm sure there's movies just like that, but whether it was metaphorical or symbolic or actually a real situation happening in the spiritual realm, in the energetic realm, and not just in a dream. I had so many of those kind of experiences. It later carried through to, as I was working with clients over these past, 15, 20 years with Reiki. And I can place my hands on somebody in a Reiki session without them telling me anything. And pretty much it's like 99%, I think 100% of the services that I've done, particularly, I've been able to sense where there is some kind of disorder or disease in the body. And I've offered my, as a channel, Reiki, or just a channel for the energy, to work with them and to help them. And I don't know what that healing looks like. Sometimes healing does not look like overcoming an illness. It may come in a body, mind, or spirit way. There's so many different forms of healing. So, but I know that for me, that intuition was powerful. And soon I'm going to be sharing a story at Unity Church. I was asked to share about a love moment and love's transformative power. And they're asking for something online. I think the TikTok is getting ready to end. Let me see if I can keep it going. Okay, there we go. Probably after so many minutes it cuts off, but I'll just share this one final story and I'll be on my way tonight. In 2011, there was someone was stealing my pansies from the garden in the front of my salon and newspapers. It was happening for about a month. It was so upsetting, dirt all over the place. Happened in the middle of the night. I'd come in, I have to go to Lowe's and get the flowers back, call the newspaper people, have them deliver it somewhere else in a way to be safe. And it wasn't very expensive, but it was more of an inconvenience. And I just wondered, why would someone want to steal these little flowers out of my flower box? So I prayed, I meditated after I got over my anger and hurt, wondering why this was happening. I wrote a special prayer and blessing for my garden. Part of that prayer, and I'll post this online on universalrainbowfaith.org. I'll do a blog post about it. I used many kinds of spiritual symbols that were close to me and mean something to me, including a blue dragonfly and a blue butterfly and Saint Christopher and the numerology of 11, 22, and 33, because those are special numbers for me spiritually, and they're actually in my logo to my business to draw that spiritual energy to me of the master teachers, of spirituality, of higher consciousness, and of selfless giving. So all of that I had done, and I basically blessed the garden, blessed the salon, and that anyone that came to this place and to that garden would receive an immense and beautiful blessing. And that I wrote all of that. I posted it near the window, and then later it's in the salon. Sometime shortly after that, I came in, I put up a camera in the window, and I'd seen somebody, this older woman, come to my salon, and she walked up to the flower boxes by the door, and it was about 4:30 in the morning, the video time, and she had a plastic shopping bag, and she looked this way and she looked that way, and then she took the flowers and she put it in there, and she looked, she got the newspaper, and then she got that, and then she walked over to the trash can of all places and looked in there, rummaged through some of the trash in front of my salon. I thought it was so odd. She was older, she had reddish hair, and I was with my sponsee, Stacia, at the time. We had just come from a 12-step meeting. I was sober about 9 years at the time, and now 22 years sober. And I looked at her and I said, Stacia, I said, would you mind coming with me? I have a feeling I'm going to find this woman. And anyway, so we got in my car, drove out to Karen Avenue. I turned right. I went down to the 1st or 2nd Street, turned right, parked the car on the right-hand side of the street. I looked left, and I looked at the buildings, and I went to the left, and I walked through between two buildings to the alleyway where the cars were parked, and I looked to the right, and there was the van that was in the video. There was a white van she got into with no windows and silver rims. And I was like, wow. Then I walked into the courtyard. I walked in. I looked around. I went to the right, and the first set of stairs I walked up. And what do you think I saw in front of me? There was a row of pansies in tiny pots. And I thought, oh my God, these are my babies. And I have to tell you, I love gardening. I love plants. I love nature. So my plants were very important to me. My flowers were like my little children. And anyway, so there they were, thriving. I knocked on the door. I saw 2 apartments there. One, they were like in a kitty corner. I saw through one window, the mini blinds were open. There was all this strange stuff in this apartment, like tire rims and all this stuff, floor to ceiling. And in that past year, many things had come up missing in our business community here. Things were being stolen. Well, I'm pretty sure that was the van that boosted the items. This was one of the people in the video, and all the stuff was all stolen. And I had never been there before. I'd never been to that apartment building. I'd never been to that place. I knew nothing about it. I literally had a feeling I was going to meet this person. And then I drove, and I was just magnetically pulled there. Never been there before. And anyways, I knocked on the door. A young boy answered. Then an older woman came, and I told her, I said, this is who I am. I'm from the salon over here, and I believe these are my flowers. Someone's been stealing my paper and my flowers. Would you mind looking at a picture and some video? And I showed her on my phone, and I also showed her the white van I saw downstairs. And she said, oh, that's my daughter, Deborah. So she'll be back later on. So I left. I come back about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. It was very late. It was very dark. I walked up the stairs. I sensed somebody was behind me. And I looked, and it was a woman from the video. So she walks up. She's very quiet, long reddish hair, kind of wrinkled face a little bit, maybe late 50s. And I told her who I was and the situation that I had been by earlier. And I asked if she could look at the video and the photos. And so she did. And I said, "Do you know who this is?" And she said, "No." I said, "Would you look again?" And she said, "No." And then I said, "Well," I said, "are you sure you don't know who this is?" I said, "It kind of looks like you." And she looked again and she says, "Yeah, she did." And then I told her the situation, that this had become a felony. I'd already talked to the police. I had a client, it was a police officer, and they said it was over $500 to be a felony. So I said, I have the van, and I found out it was her husband that drove the van. I had her, and I saw the stuff in the apartment, and my flowers were there. And so I told her, I need you to promise me that you're not going to steal my flowers in my newspaper anymore. And she said yes. She was very calm, very quiet. And then I told her, I said, "Deborah," I said, "do you know how I found you?" And she said, "No." I said, "I saw your face on a video screen, and I was at your front door in 10 minutes, and I've never been here before." And her eyes got really big. And then at that moment, I told her, I said, "Do you believe in God?" And she said, "Yes." And I looked at her and I said, "Well, we're not alone right now." And at that moment, there was a kind of almost a light around us. We were in like a bubble of light. Everything else went dark. There was no sound. I couldn't hear or see anything beyond just her and me. I had a little anxiety, but I, I'd had these situations before, so I was just kind of relaxing into it. And I told her, "So we're not alone right now, And I could sense there were angels all around us, at the top of the stairs, the bottom of the stairs, in the courtyard, and that there was this presence of God that was there. And I told her, I said, "I've been sent here to help you." And, I had prayed and I had forgiven her already. And so I forgave her, and I gave her a hug. I'm pretty sure I told her that God loves her. And she was just blown away that I found her after seeing her on a video screen. And so we went about our way. That was it. In a few moments, it was like the lights turned back on. I could then hear everything that was around us again, and there was some light, and kind of the moment had passed. I went back a week later to check on her, and when I saw the apartment to the left, the window was open. There was nothing in there. Everything was gone. There was no white van there. The whole apartment had been cleared out. The other one, where her mother lived, I knocked on the door and I asked if Deborah was home, and she said, "No, Deborah is not here. I haven't seen her for a few days." And she didn't know where she was. And so I had brought a gift bag of a big book with my name and number in it, a card, a butterfly wind chime, some fresh flowers from the store, and a brand new newspaper. And I just written in there, if she wanted to go to a meeting or needed any help, that I would be there for her. And so I gave it to her mother, and I said, "If you see her, please give her this." I never heard from her again. And as I was leaving, there was a feeling that came over me and that I thought about for many years as I would think about that story. And I wondered, who was she really? And maybe she was actually there to help me. I could have responded in anger. I could have called the police. I could have done many things, even though the damages, wasn't really that expensive. It was more of an aggravation. And instead, I had done the important and powerful prayer work and spiritual work and meditation, and I had forgiven, and I asked God for help, and I asked the angels to intervene, and they did. And so I wonder, was she even human, or was she an angel? And so I wrote a talk recently called "A Pansy Thief or an Angel, Coincidence or Miracle." I will let you, viewers, decide for yourself. The whole story will be in volume 2 of The Nature of Miracles. Now, that is one of nearly 100 stories just like that. So that is my experience intuitively. Now, for someone to come and say what they said, "Oh, you have to repent, you have to do all this stuff," I don't have any repenting to do. I have a beautiful relationship with a loving creator that has also showed me and revealed to me my own special gifts of intuition and how I can work with people in Reiki. I can say a prayer and a blessing and be led to some stranger's home and have a moment, have a powerful moment with them. Maybe she did receive the healing that she needs. For me, the lesson was to continue my spiritual path and my spiritual work, to not be afraid of my relationship with my Creator. And it doesn't have to align with anybody else's, but know that I had done good at that moment and that I responded in love, which is more powerful than anything. Now, had I not forgiven and responded in love, I don't believe that that experience would have happened. So that's just one of the stories I'm grateful to share with you. And I want you to know that miracles are real, angels exist, and that when the dark clouds of the storm are around us and above us, that no matter what, if we just pray and we just have faith and you call upon whatever it is that you believe in, whatever you call that, if you call it God or Jesus or Buddha, that you will receive the spiritual help that you need. I know that I have. So none of us are far away from that or disconnected from that. Now, that story didn't just happen to me. My sponsee happened to be with me. She saw the whole thing. It was completely verified. And you can look up what are the chances of seeing someone on a video screen and being at their front door in 10 minutes, never been there before. Never, ever. Knew nothing about it, never been to that part of town. So it's a beautiful story and a very powerful spiritual experience for me, which completely sober too, which let me know I'm not alone. And when I seek out this presence and this power, it will be there for me and for all of us. So I thank you for joining in today, and please like, follow, share, and subscribe. Get this out there. If you like the story that I shared with you, please share it with somebody. Tell them to watch this and fast forward all the way to the end if you just want them to hear just this miracle story. If you have somebody that doesn't believe that miracles are real or exist, or that angels are with us, or that they are somehow not worthy of God's love and care because they're different, that's absolutely not true. And my life and my experience proves that. So I thank you, bless you all, and I will see you next week. Thank you.